Thi angibabongele ekuthenini ume ube indoda ubamele umele iqiniso. So angikudlulisa ngoba bona bakhona ukufika la yona into abangithume yona. Indoda eyama ke kwale nkosi ngesikhathi thizeni phambilini yamela ukuvimba ukuthi abafuna ukulawula izwe through abaphathi abaphethe ama-divisions.
Honorable Shaw, if you may please get closer to
Is it far?
to the microphone. I can see the members at the extreme.
Okay,
Yeah.
am I audible? Okay. Yeah, I hope my time has not started. Thank you very much. That's 10 minutes, right? Thank you very much. Kwale nkosi,
Donation.
indoda eyama yamela ukuvimba ukuthi lezi igelekece ifuna ukuthatha izwe ziliphathe through abaphathi bama-divisions. Yayithola isenkingeni yokuthi ke igijinyiswe ikhulunywe kabi ngayo. Sekuze kuna 2 decades manje 20 years iqala lisekhotha lipheli. Umbuzo wami uthi yini eyenze wena wabona kufanele uthathe impilo yakho uyifake ebunzimeni obungaka nasengozini engaka. Uthathe ngisho neyomndeni wakho uphinde uyifake lapho. Uphushwe yini ukuthi uthathe lesi sinqumo?
Mhlonishwa, kuyinkinga lokho besibhekene nako. Okungiphazamise kakhulu ukuthi lobugebengu ekade sibona benzeka lobufuna ukwenzeka. Abantu befuna ukuthatha izwe ngobugebengu. Kubugebengu obuzolimaza izingane zethu. Ngoba izidakamizwa lezi abasebenza ngazo. Angisho ukuthi uma bekade kubugebengu obungahlanganisi nezidakamizwa besokubekezelela bese ngeke sikubekezelele kwabona. Kodwa lokhu kuhlangene nezidakamizwa. Ngicabanga ukuthi iningi lomphakathi wale South Africa liyazi ukuthi uma unesihlobo owazana naso noma inengane oyizalayo esekuyaqala yadla idakamizwa seyimoshakele ngeke usakwazi ukuyilungisa. Abantu abaningi ke bahlukumezwe lezi dakamizwa. Ingakho ke siwumphakathi sisonke kumele sizimisele sihlangane sibumbane ukuze silwisane nalesihlava. Lokho kungenza ukuthi ngiphakameke ukuthi ngikhulume lolu daba. Ingoba ngibona ukuthi uma ngiliyeka ukukhuluma umndeni wami ukhona nje umshana wami odla idakamizwa ngikhuluma nawo. Eziqhamuka ngabo labantu. Uma abaphathi bezwe bezovumela lezi gebengu ukuthi ziqhubeke nokuthengisela izingane zethu lezi dakamizwa zize nazo zilethela South Africa zizakhe la South Africa okushuthi kahle izwe leli lizobe lifile so thi silele emathuneni thina sibe sishiya izingane zethu zihlupheke. So ngaleso sizathu ngiyabona ukuthi kumele ukuthi sikhulume manje ukuze sikwazi ukulungisa izwe ukuya phambili. Lokho kuncane umuntu angakwazi ukwenza njengoba ethunywe enikeza umsebenzi ukuthi avikele izwe. Kumele ukuthi sikwenze. Ngisho kuthiwa kuyingozi thina. Ngoba ubungozi vele into umuntu aloka eqala engena emaphoyiseni. Ukuthi iphoyisa amaqhuma isibhamu ngala abantu bebaleka bayale iphoyisa afuneka liqonde laqhuma khona isibhamu. Kumele lisinikele ngalokho. Lokho engikwenzile kuyafana ke nalokho ukuthi ngiyazinikela ukuthi ukuze umphakathi uvikeleke. Kumele thina esinikeza umsebenzi ukuthi sivikele umphakathi kube yithina esizinikelayo kuqala. Ngicabanga ukuthi leyo kuphela nje into engayifika ukuthi engigqugquzela ukuthi ngikwenze lo engikwenzile.
Ngiyabonga.
Honorable Shaw and the General, I want to make a request to yourselves that we involve the whole of the Republic in our conversation, because those are the people we represent here. The languages that we use are permissible by law. There is nothing wrong speaking in your mother tongue. I have been brought to the attention that we don't have translation services. I mean, interpreting services here. So you can imagine the vastness of the Republic, even if we have ourselves here, but we want somebody who is in Musina or somebody in Springbok, because these are matters of national interest. So I just want to request you that I can't restrict you from using any language, but we can at least have a fair balance so that, especially ourselves as members of parliament, we represent the people of this republic and they want to hear us, all of them. I think it's a fair statement to make. You disagree, Honorable Sangon and Honorable Chief Whip. What is your disagreement? Honorable Sangon.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Yes, we disagree with you vehemently, Chair. The one thing that perhaps we can agree with you on is the fact that the translation services inside the House are not working. But this parliament is built on the principle of inclusivity, which allows the use of any of the official languages of this country, including isiZulu, Sitsonga, sign language, and so forth. Now, when we are taking it for granted that when we speak in English, all South Africans understand, then we have made a fundamental mistake. And we are at this point elevating the English above any of our other languages. So I think that Honorable Shongwe and and General Mkhwanazi should be allowed to express themselves in any language they wish to. There are media houses who are sharing this information. They can translate where there's a need to translate. Please, Chairperson, thank you.
Chief Whip.
Chair, I think our committee whip has covered it. Just one point. Because we've got 12 official languages in the Republic of South Africa, it's inevitable that any language you use in any setting will exclude other South Africans. Since we've been running the proceedings in English, I can tell you that there are many South Africans who can understand what we're talking about. Now, the point that we who are here must be assisted to understand one another is fair. But to demand that people can converse in any of the official languages because we may exclude South Africans, already they've been excluded since we started. There are people who can understand English, but who are deeply interested in what we're doing. So I think, Chair, we let's be assisted internally, but I think for South Africans, it is inevitable. We've been excluding them already in our proceedings. Thanks.
Honorable Sauls.
Chair, apart from the fact that Khoisan languages must also become official languages in this country, I would like to request, I do agree with the previous speakers, but I'd like to request for my sake, and I think there's others here too, to follow the proceedings for there to be translation for us, please. May I speak for myself then, that there is translation for myself after the general has responded, that someone translates for us. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, before you start my time, do you want to speak, Chair?
Yes, you can speak.
Before you start my time, I just want to talk on that point.
Yeah.
Chair, it is because of such negligence of our work in Parliament that as a committee of police, General Mkhwanazi is saying the Parliament did nothing on the 5th. It's because the Chair didn't do anything, didn't do umsebenzi wakhe, not all of us. So I'm just going to protect you, Chair, by saying...
Let's talk to the point of...
yeah, this is the point, Chair. Exactly the point, Chair, when I say, abantu abangenzi umsebenzi wabo cannot fault us kulezo zinto lezo. So our translators, whoever is in charge of translators, should have brought in our translators so that they can translate. We've got this, Chair, to put in our ears so that if we don't hear, we can understand the other language. But you are fairly saying this and nicely saying it and asking. I'll try my best ukufaka isingisi. Sinzima impela, but I'll try my best, Chair.
I'm not compelling, honorable members. And that is
Sure.
why I said, where I'm sitting, I recognize that we speak diverse languages. But at least if there can be a fair balance. And I'm not saying anybody must not use, I'm not saying nobody must use any language that they are comfortable using. And I want to also make you aware that we have time allocation here. And it's not that some of the constraints we do not understand. If Honorable Souls comes here and say, I'm now speaking in Khoisan, and we come and say, but there is no translation services for Khoisan, we may run into difficulties, and I don't want us to go into those difficulties. I have been using the word reasonably in most cases so that all of us understand that let's exercise reasonableness where we experience constraints. Let's exercise and don't use those constraints as an excuse not to do certain things. The languages, nobody can get into that debate. African languages have to be promoted like any other language that is spoken in this country. And our languages are the ones that affirm our identity and pride and cultural heritage. It's not something that we should debate. I very much agree with what honorable members are saying, but can we please exercise reasonableness? Thank you so much. You can now proceed.
Mayor Kenza, Chair.
You had used 3 minutes of your time.
Huh?
Yes, you had used 3 minutes, and that excludes the responses that the general.
I have a time, Chair, here. I have only used
So
1 minute.
you have
Revert
you have 7 minutes now to conclude your
You can revert, Chair.
to conclude your task.
Take your
Thank you so
answer,
much.
Chair, to show you I've used only 1 minute. All right, no problem. I'll respect you, Chair. Thank you, Nkalenkos. Nkalenkos, baphinde bangithuma ke South Africa futhi. Bathi angibabongele kwinsizwa ezigadile. But baphinde bathi angibuza ukuthi how safe is the PKTT currently?
Honorable Chair members, on the PKTT, I'm not worrying much. I worry a lot about the team in Gauteng. The counterintelligence investigation operations that is taking place in Gauteng, I worry about their safety. Why do I say that? Because they were put in a safe house to operate from. The member of this house, together with others, they publish the photos of that house in the media. So therefore, their working place is compromised. The members that are operating the driving vehicles, those vehicles have been exposed in public. And I believe in some degree, maybe even the names of the members might be known. And their safety for me is a concern. The safety of the members that are working in Gauteng, they can't go home. If they go home, they go with the entire delegation of police officers protecting them. So their life is disrupted, and their families, I don't think they are protected either. So it is that group in Gauteng. I spoke about 2 sergeants yesterday. There are other junior members that have joined in that are working with them now because the team has grown bigger. Together with the 10 that came from KZN. So it's quite a lot of them that are part of that operation. It's those members that I worry more than I worry about the PKTT, because PKTT is in KZN. Yeah, well, at least they have me and the rest of men and women employed in KZN. They should be safe. I cannot guarantee the Gauteng team the same.
Who's in charge of the Gauteng one, and what has he done?
The Gauteng one is Gerald Khumalo that is currently arrested. The one is told he must not enter premises of intelligence.
So currently nobody is in charge of them.
Well, I think the members are trying to operate from wherever they're operating from, because they have been compromised wherever they want to work. Now, within crime intelligence, they cannot operate because what they are trying to deal with involves members within crime intelligence, and the boss of crime intelligence was told by court not to enter the premises, so that they become vulnerable, those members. So
If I may interject, the member you speak about who was taking out photos and stuff like that, are you able to tell us the name? Who's that member? Because I think that's the worst the member can do and put.
Yeah, well, the member of this parliament, Ms. Korabana, published the photos of the house. Some of the properties as members are working from in her media statement that she issued. I'll reference to it if I see it here, but it's in the public domain, it's known, and she published that. So here's the address, here's the house, and here is this, here's that. They got that information from members within intelligence that were against the work that the team is doing, and they took it out there to the media. So, and that compromised the operations. That's why I'm saying that I worry more about the Gauteng team than I will about the PKTT. I think PKTT in KZN, they operate in a place where they've got men and women that knows how to fight the enemy that are surrounding them. So they're quite okay in KZN. But the Gauteng counterintelligence team, I cannot say the same about them.
Okay, I've served under you, under SAPS when I was still working them. So I don't know this part, if I'll be wrong or right. Would what the member done be criminally? Be classified as criminal to take out information of safe houses?
Yeah, no, definitely that's a criminal offense, and I do hope that the authorities that are responsible for it, they're going to assist us in making sure such is investigated. I call for an investigation by state security on these leakages of information to the media, amongst of the things that I spoke about yesterday, for specific journalists that keep writing about these things, including the members of this parliament and members within crime intelligence, as well as the Inspector General of Intelligence.
Do you have any proof or evidence of this DA member called Bernard who took out the photos of such?
Well, I don't know who took the photos, but I know that she participated in the circulation of the photos of these residents and addresses in a question that she had asked in Parliament, which I made a reference to when I presented yesterday.
General, let me leave that one because it's Katsam is not. The first thing the president of this country, Babu Ramaphosa, does is to take intelligence into his office. Now you come and say, you said crime intelligence listens to our conversation, then will blackmail and capture members. And for me, that's the biggest threat to our democracy, because it means MPs that are vocal about issues that are going to be blackmailed, and that won't happen. That won't help me towards a good government. So my question is, what's your take on intelligence being under the office of the president? One, the office, or do you think that would allow the officers to be able to investigate him or those associates of the president? And wouldn't that give him power to manipulate those who go against him?
Honorable Chair, honorable members, I'm an official within the South African Police Service. I don't work within intelligence structure. Therefore, I cannot comment about the working arrangements of the state security at the office of the president. I know for a fact that when the state security was having their own minister back in the days, and they were not reporting to the office of the president back then, there were wrong things that were happening within intelligence, state security specific. There was even theft of money within the facility. So there were a lot of wrong that was happening there at state security, and that was happening, whereas that same entity was not reporting to the president. So whether they are within the presidency or they're outside the presidency, it doesn't seem to make any difference. If they are bad outside, they will be bad inside. I cannot see the difference between them because, yeah, I'm privy to some things that were happening there. Because Yeah. Let me not go further on it because we'll end up saying things that I shouldn't be talking about here. But
No, la nokhululekile Mkhwanazi. Awuzwa lutho. Shona khona.
no, well, we'll leave it here. Some of us have got gray hair already because we've seen a lot. You've heard a lot. The privilege I have is that in many other parts of the security cluster, there are men and women that felt that it's important for them to share information with me. They've been sharing information with me from back then, and they're still sharing information with me now. And I know evidence. And I think the good thing they did was to make sure that they make use of people that are close to me to work in those environments so that I'm privy to such information. So that's what I'm saying. Some of things don't belong to this place. It belongs to the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence. If they were to invite me one day, I'll share things with them that I don't think they'll be ready to hear themselves.
In your proposals last night, you mentioned certain things that you wish in the subs they should be changed or change that can be used lapaya. So I want to ask this question, in your own general knowledge, would you think it is safe for our state intelligence to remain in the office of the president? And would that not hinder or delay certain investigations that might be against the president, that might be against his friends and close associates? I want to repeat that question because I want your own thinking. Is it safe? I've never seen it in the world where intelligence is in the office of the president, and I don't know why. But I feel that alone hampers some MPs might not be able to be vocal about certain things. So what's your take on that? And if you even said, if you were sitting here, Advocate Johnson sitting on that side, you'll be able to question him to give us some answers. So I'm asking you in this same position, would you be able to tell us or South Africa, is that a proper way of doing things, or would you prefer it being done like that? And at the same time, doesn't that give power to politicians, where intelligence resides in the office of a politician, a senior politician of the country, who has 10 years in the office? When he exits, how safe is the country? Thank you.
Honorable Chair members, I don't want to go deeper into discussing the structure of government because I'm not a leader in government. I'm not elected to be there. I'm not appointed to be in that position. So expressing my opinion as a citizen is one thing, but I'm sitting here to come and account about what transpired in July and what we're dealing with as a police. So I said earlier, I know that intelligence at one stage, when at least I was involved with the police management at the time as acting national commissioner, the intelligence was not falling under the office of the president. It was standing independently somewhere. But there were bad things happening there at the very same intelligence, while it is not at the office of the president. So I don't see then why it will be different now. That now it's in the office of the president, it is exposed to be doing wrong. If it's outside the office, it's not. But I have evidence that it was wrong then. They were doing wrong at the time, whilst they were outside the office of the president. So what will stop them not to do now? If you take it back and they go outside the office of the president, what difference is it going to make? When people are dirty, they are dirty, regardless of where they're working. So perhaps the parliament might want to look at whether is any risk associated with that and any evidence that can be produced to support that, and then make recommendations through the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence and through the class and the president in order to restructure that if need be. But for me, as Jerome Mkhwanazi sitting here, I can comment about the positioning of crime intelligence because it's within my space. But to comment about intelligence community as SSA department, they are independent away from me. I don't know how they operate. I'm not part of them. So for me to comment on it, it will be wrong. So I wouldn't want to get into that. Invite me to talk about crime intelligence and make my proposals about it. Maybe I can. I made some yesterday about how they must account and so forth. And part of I might recommend of crime intelligence, they shouldn't report to a deputy national commissioner. because that post constitutionally doesn't even have to be there. So the head of crime intelligence is supposed to report to the National Commissioner and to the Joint Standing Committee in Parliament, an account here, and Inspector General of Intelligence, and of course the security or the intelligence structure that is established at NECOC and the likes. This presence of a Deputy National Commissioner post create this problem where JRSB then want to intervene, and the Joint Standing Committee invite JRSB to come and present issues of intelligence, and yet is not a command of intelligence. So it's part of the deficiencies that we have to correct.
Ngiyabonga, Nkosi.